Evening, folks. Thanks for coming back. I hope you all had a good day. So tonight we have someone on the panel who is incredibly handsome, really amazing, awesome, funny, and we also have John Ozuna.
Hey, there you go. Watch yourself, buddy. Watch yourself. Yeah, exactly.
I was talking about me. No, I was talking about this man here. We have actor and martial art, karate guy, John Ozuna back. John's been with us a few times, but he's not been with us for a while because he's been a bit of a busy bunny.
Yeah, it's been busy. Yeah, absolutely. One, thank you for having me back on your show. I miss you, buddy. Because, just when I thought, things are going good, then I take a look at you and I'm going, geez, really? That's what handsome looks like.
Well,
you discouraged me.
Basically, John, if you've got it, then just brag about it. That's my motto.
Sure, why not?
That's just, I get told on a daily basis how
Absolutely.
awesome I am. And
it's been busy, which I think anybody that pursues this industry, if you have work in front of you, then consider yourself lucky and grateful, and and the fact that you're working in the industry. Let me tell you, there are so many people I know that are talented, and they're committed, but they're not catching the breaks. It's unfortunately it's a timing thing. You have to really kind of know the right people, and you've got to fit the role, you got to fit the part. So when those things kind of align, then good things will happen. But yeah, it's been busy. I'm very thankful for that. I've been bouncing back and forth from where I live to Los Angeles and the Hollywood area. So it's just been bouncing back and forth. I live about 7 hours north of Hollywood, right around there. And so whenever there's a project, if they fly me, I'll fly over. But typically what I'll do is I'll just drive over the day before and check into whatever hotel they got me booked for, and then the magic starts after that.
I always imagine, Hollywood people, film stars, they all stay in the same bit. They all live in the same area, near the sign, near the famous sign. You don't realise how big California, you don't realise how big America is.
Yeah.
It's these have got 2 or 3 different kind of time zones. We've only got one.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Which is easy.
We're greedy. We're greedy over here because we have 3 time zones.
You're very greedy. I'm going to tell you right to your face. You're very greedy. We've been doing this for over 5 years now, and there's Tarek Tracy's in. I do a Tudor show with Chase about Henry VIII and his wife. We've got another one on Monday. Actually, we've been doing this for about 5 years, and I talk to a lot of people in the States. Obviously, you're my favourite.
You're too kind. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I need to say that because you're on. I'm kidding. But
I'm honoured.
So you should be. Actually, I've just noticed something. I think I've got more colour than you have, and you live in California.
I was looking at that. So you're going to need to explain that, because you're in Scotland where the weather is not like California.
Crap.
California, the sun's always here. Winter, fall, summer, whatever, the sun's always on us. So talk to me about that.
You want to know my secret? Is that
what is your secret?
It's all to do with the foundation that I use. No, as I say, we had a freak heat wave for England had it as well.
Wow.
For about 2 weeks, and the temperatures just went woof.
Wow.
So shorts out, sun's out, shorts are out. Basically, as soon as you see a bit of sun in Scotland, everybody's out with the shorts and the sun cream and the lilos and the swimming pools and everything. Whiskey. It's no whiskey. It's just I don't drink. Well,
whiskey.
now and again, I'll have the odd tipple. So that's it. I'm not usually this colour.
Yeah,
usually
Usually you keep yourself a little bit well hidden. So when I saw you today, and I'm seeing, whoa, I can see you. Again, handsomeness never saw the light of day until you came out this morning. So
I know.
Good stuff.
Keep going. I'm loving this. Good evening, gentlemen. Hope we are both well this fine evening. Shots out, chicken legs out, eh, boy? That's Laura. She's one of ours, and she's also a good friend. They've got Laura and Sarah have got a fixation about my legs.
Oh, interesting.
You know,
interesting.
It is quite. I think it's quite creepy, actually, to be honest. But however, and they say I've got chicken legs, but I think I've got a fine pair of legs. Just me personally.
You must. Now I'm curious. Now I need to know.
No, you see, I can't show you my legs because I've actually got my pajama bottoms on. Pajama bottoms and flip flops. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I'm not ashamed. I'm not shy.
No,
I'm not shy.
They're not flip flops or sliders.
Sorry, they're not. I've just been informed by my other half. They're not flip flops or sliders.
Oh, got you. Is that the way it's said in Scotland?
Well, sliders.
Yeah.
I still call them flip flops. I've known them as flip flops for years.
Yeah, because that's the I always hear flip flops
go in between your toes.
They would be.
Flip flops go in between your toes. Sliders don't.
Right. Okay.
Because here they'll call them like sandals. They'll call them sandals.
I mean, you still get a lot of weird sayings. Like pants.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Over there, pants is trousers. Over here, it's
exactly.
Underwear.
As long as you put them on. Put them on. That's all. That's what matters.
I've got them on. I would show you. See, hold on. Oh, there's one. Yeah, trust me, I've got one on. Anyway, Tracy saying she can hear you laughing. B sliders are down with the kids. Like what I am, Tracy. I am down with the kids in the groove. Anyway, what?
She's like, no, you're an old man.
My 9-year-old just told me I'm an old man. So we shall talk later, young lady. No, I mean, she's Tracy Scott may come off a grown man, but he is a kid. You've got to be, see these people that act their age, and I haven't got time for that rubbish. No doubt you're the same, John.
Oh, well, that's too kind. It's too kind.
You people, I mean, I'm hitting 39.
I'm the rest.
I'm 59, but I don't feel 59. Who wants to be an old man with slippers and a pipe?
So I think I'm older than you are, my friend. I got some years on me. I've been around for a long time. You cut my arm off, you start counting the rings, and you see how old I am.
Well, you certainly don't you look like a young spring chicken.
You're too kind. That's the Hollywood magic right there. That's that's why if it wasn't for makeup, oh my goodness, I would not see the light of day.
Well, it's funny, before we come on to your latest film, just what you say about makeup, I'm on TikTok, and I saw some TikTok video. You're on TikTok. I was watching one of yours earlier on, actually.
Uh-huh.
You're on a stage, and you get the black gear on, and you do a high kick.
Yeah, you saw it. Did you catch that? Yeah.
I saw that one. I thought,
thank you.
My eyes watered,
Thank you for catching that. You usually don't watch any of my stuff, so it's okay.
I do watch your stuff. That's why I stalk you. I always forget to put a like button, a wee bing. But I saw you legging away up. My eyes watered for a wee minute too. I'll tell you that. But what I was going to say, Aye, TikTok. Some of the videos they'll show you, Hollywood stars with and without their makeup.
Yeah,
and some of them are scary looking.
You're right. And this is the important thing, because even with a lot of people that present themselves on social media, they use filters. And now, granted, everybody wants to look the best they can, but this is what happens. If you don't look like the way you present yourself, then you're not going to get hired, because all of a sudden, if you arrive for an audition or whatever it is in person, and they see how you look versus how you present yourself on social media, they're going to say, hey, that's two different people. We were looking for this person over here. So that's why whenever I do any socials, I never touch the filter thing. I never do any of that. It's just this is what you get, whether you like it or not.
Is what you get.
What you see is what you get, and this is whether you like it or not. It's up to you. So,
actually, some of them I've watched, and think some of them look like psychotic camels and stuff like that. With the makeup. No, Tracy's saying that you can't.
Tracy doesn't need makeup. She's beautiful. She doesn't need makeup.
She's beautiful within herself. There's Kate. Yeah. Hi, Kate. Doll. We're all good here. Aye. So what we're going to talk. Your film. The Bouncer.
The Bouncer, yeah.
The Bouncer. You start alongside Costas Mandylor, who we had the pleasure of being on this very panel with last year. In case you don't know, Costas Mandylor is he's John's co-star in The Bouncer, and he's also known as Detective Hoffman in the massive Saw film franchise. So he was on last year, and I quite enjoyed it. It was good. I enjoyed it live. I don't care if you didn't, but I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hey, what does he say? All right. Well, thank you. Thanks,
you're so talented. I'd love to write a review of the film. You deserve so much more.
I love that. Thank you.
Tracy's wanting to know if you're single. Tracy, this isn't a dating like hotline or anything.
Oh my goodness. I appreciate that. I'll answer that later. But the Bouncer. Let's go back to the Bouncer.
Let's get back to the Bouncer. See you trying to set you two up.
I was trying to get embarrassed here.
Are you going the same colour as me? You got a wee bit strawberry red there.
Like,
John Ozuna blushing. Anyway, the Bouncer.
So the Bouncer. I mean, I'm grateful to have been part of the project. It's something that we filmed in Romania, in Bucharest, Romania. It stars myself, Costas Mandylor, like you mentioned, of the Saw franchise, Nick Torturo from, oh my goodness, he's done so many things, NYPD Blue, and he's done so many things. His brother, John Turturro, is a very famous actor as well. My goodness, Gerald Okumura. Gerald Okumura played my martial arts teacher. He is, my goodness, if you remember the original Kung Fu TV series way back in the 70s, he was in that. He was one of the main villains in Big Trouble in Little China. He's done so many things, but he played my martial arts teacher. So I was surrounded by some very veteran, talented movie stars, and I had just a great privilege of being a part of that. And it was, my character name was Frank Sharp. I'm a guy that is a bouncer in the States, and I have this affinity to protect women. And so when I see a woman being mistreated or abused, I jump right in and say, hey, I try to resolve it. But in one situation, I inadvertently killed somebody. And so I escaped. I left the States. I tried to start a new life in Romania, and kind of find myself in the same situation against a Russian mob boss, which is played by Costas Mandylor, and he's fantastic. He's such a great actor. My goodness, wow! And he commits to the part. So it was a great, and it's out everywhere. So in the Americas, Canada, Northern and Central America, and in the UK. So it's actually playing in the UK. So it's definitely out there.
Kate's got a question for you. 2 seconds, on a bump it in. As she says, I love that your colleague was British, but she's saying a question about the audio in the movie. Did you dub yourselves, or is it live audio?
It's live audio. So that it went through some technical issues with the sound. So I actually had to go back to the studio and dub all of my dialogue again. I had to redub all my dialogue, and some of the actors had to do the same thing. So it was live right there on the spot, and I just had to recreate the same thing. Um, what was amazing is what was incredible to me is when I started to see the other versions of the movie, because there's a Russian version. So hearing me speak Russian, hearing me speak um, all these different languages was just like wow, you know.
Mm.
I speak now. I speak Spanish, so that wasn't too different for me. So I heard it in Spanish as well. But yeah, those that's an amazing process because they hire actors, um, and they're watching every scene of the movie that they're in, and they're repeating that scene in their own language, but they've got to match it with my lips, and also the emotion behind the scene. So if I'm being somber, or if I'm being kind of cool, they have to portray it that way. But if I'm like intense and doing kind of a fight scene, they've got to convey those emotions too. So it's an amazing process.
I was going to say, I'll start your other question on a minute, Kate. I was going to say it must be hard. I mean, I've watched a few films, foreign films, and you can tell that it's dubbed, and
Yeah.
some of them are crap. The actors are,
Yeah.
and like the dialogue's about 10 seconds behind what the actor's actually saying.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've often wondered, obviously you're in the studio, whatever, you've got the film up on the screen and you're watching this and you're trying to. How difficult is it to get the timing right on it?
It is difficult because even when I do it, you're in a studio, you have your headsets on, you have a speaker in front of you, and you have a screen where you're watching the scene and you watch it several times. And even when I'm dubbing my own voice, sometimes I might deliver it a little bit differently. And if it doesn't match exactly, the record producer, will say, cut, let's do it again, because it's a little bit off, and there's only so much that they can do to correct it. So a lot of the responsibility is mine to match that. And it, what it does? It zaps your energy because you're in a studio, you're bringing back those emotions again, and you're reliving the scene. And by the time you're done, and you're in there for hours, by the time you're done, you're gone. You're just done for the day.
You're wiped
Done.
out.
You're wiped out. You're done for the day.
As I say, some of them I've watched, and a couple of them have been really good films, but it's a shame because, the actor will say something and then their lips aren't moving, and then you hear the voice saying what they just said, and the actor's standing there, but they're still calling you out seriously. Tracy says, Hola, qui tal?
¿Estás hablando en español? Hola, ¿qué tal? Muy bien. ¿Cómo está usted? Ojalá que todo está bien. Ojalá que todo está bien porque te mires tan bella, tan bella. So,
Exactly. Just what he said. just what he said. I think that's what I was just asking you. Is it hard to dub yourself?
Yeah, it's tough. And like to your point, buddy, what happens is in this day and age for distribution, when they distribute, everything has to be perfect. So it goes through a very stringent quality control inspection. And if it doesn't, and it's just kind of, it's not like, oh, maybe, no, it's either yes or it's no. So if there's any little discrepancies at all, then it's no, and you got to redo it again until it's just right. And that's how it gets distributed. But to your point, back in the day, some of these movies, they just let it slide. They just let it go.
Aye, it's the same as I'll stay a comments a wee minute, cover in a wee minute, folks. I think there's a lot gets, especially errors. I like to watch, the errors on YouTube and TikTok. The Braveheart's a famous one for it. With the white transit van in the background, and Gladiator. You see the plane up above.
Exactly.
I don't know if you've seen that scene.
Yeah.
He's in the arena. You can see the jet up above him, and you think things like that. How can the director or whoever it is, how can they not see that? Or are they just letting it go for the sake of
it's funny
getting the film out?
You're right, because even like and those are big movies. So you're talking multi-million-dollar movies. Even like Pirates of the Caribbean, where you have so many people in the background, but there's this one guy in the background who's a crew member wearing jeans, and everybody's a pirate. If that guy's wearing jeans, and they let it slide. And I guess they kind of figure it's the best version of what they have and what they shot. So they're going to go ahead and let it go, and hoping that nobody sees it. And sure enough, there's
always I remember the Braveheart one. Braveheart's a brilliant and amazing film, obviously, but I remember it wasn't all after it came out, people were saying about the transit van. So I watched it, and it's kind of hard to spot. It took me, I don't know how long before I go, there it's there. There's a wee van in the background. Get up the hill, basically. You think, how can they miss things like that? As you say, Pirates of the Caribbean, the guy wearing jeans. I think there's another scene in Pirates where he's either got a camera or a phone. Mm-hmm. Or somebody standing with a phone or a camera, right about Johnny Depp. You think, if we can spot that, surely these guys putting the film together have spotted that.
It's amazing. Yeah, for that big of a production, for those things to slip through, it almost seems like impossible. Going through what I went through, and where my goodness, it didn't matter how small the little detail was that was an imperfection. They said, do it again, and we had to do it again, and it's just repetition, and it's tough, especially, let's say it's an emotional scene. So if there's an emotional scene, you gotta manipulate yourself to be that same state of emotion, that same state of mind, many times, like 15 takes, 20 takes, and it's got to be the same. It can't be different. So it's tough. It's tough sometimes.
I will say your comments are recycled. I know what you mean. We're doing the Wallet's trail, and it's nothing like the scale that you do your stuff on or any of the other films. It's small potatoes, as they say. But Gordon, the narrator, he's for the Society of William Wallace. He's brilliant. He's what an encyclopedia up here. And there's sometimes I'm going to start sounding a bit Hollywood now, right? When we've been out filming on set, on location, that's my Hollywood bit coming in there, and he'll be going through, he'll start telling you about a certain bit, and he'll be nearly finished, and then he'll mess it up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have, we're not talking about 10, 20 times, but maybe 4, 5, 6 times, and he'll nearly have it perfect, and then he'll mess it up, and he'll go, no, forget it. So you need to get back and start again. And it can be frustrating. As I say, it's nothing near the scale that you guys do, obviously, but it's along the same kind of lines.
No, you're right though. You're 100% right, because for what you do, it's the same process. So it doesn't matter whether it's a multi-million-dollar movie or it's let's say an investigation. It's still the same process. You're on. Wherever you choose to investigate, you're on. That's your set. You have your camera crew. You have people there that provide some that constitutes your crew and the support. So and not everything is going to go 100%. In fact, it never ever does. Guaranteed, it never does. And to your point, you're on a roll, and you're talking, and it's going good, and then just when it's just you're down to the last moment, it just your tongue gets tied, or just something is a little bit off, and you go, damn, just I got to do this again, and that's it. I mean, that's essentially it. So exactly the process.
I wouldn't say it's annoying. It's more kind of frustrating. It's a God. We covered the commemoration of the Battle of Loudon Hill last Saturday, so Gordon and all that were there. So I said to Gordon, before the ceremony starts, I'm going to get an interview with you, And so it was a live one. It was recording it, and he was talking away, and then he sort of messed it up, and I was like, just keep going because it's live. We're not recording it. You don't just keep going kind of thing. But it's a lot of fun, mind you. It is a lot of fun. I'll stick these comments up. Wait a minute. Wait till. Okay. Aye. How was the kissing scene?
Very nice. It was nice. It's funny. That's a weird thing to do, because this I spoke the lead actress. She's a very talented actress from Bulgaria, and her name's Rosemary, and she just happens to look exactly like Angelina Jolie.
I'll be honest with you, I've not watched it yet, John. I will watch it. I've just no time. But I didn't notice because at first I thought it was Angelina that was on the film. I thought, no, wait a minute.
Exactly right. No,
that's not her.
You'll swear, and it's a young version of Angelina Jolie. So she's a beautiful young lady, talented actress. And then we have a scene where we kiss, but before that we even talked about it. I said, okay, let's do this. Instead of my character going, what, I have feelings for you now. I'm gonna kiss you. I said, you take the lead on this. I'm trying to save you, and in some ways, you're starting to trust me, and because you don't trust men because they're always taking advantage of you, but you're starting to trust me, and this is your way of saying I trust you. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to do anything. You take the ball and run with it. Figuratively.
Keep going.
Just know what I'm saying there. And so and this was the cool thing about it, because we would do it, and then I can hear, because we're inside a car, and I can hear and then you have the director, you have the producer, the cameraman, the lighting people, the sound people. So you have all these people around you that are watching this, and all I can say, it was about as genuine as it could have been for something that we were expected to do, but it came out as natural as it could have, because like I said, she took the ball and ran with it, and when she was ready, she was the one who initiated it. So it was good. It was good.
I'll stick these comments up first. Tracy was impressed. I take it that was Spanish you were speaking.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's actually, I'm from the United States, and my family. My goodness, we've been here forever. We mainly speak English here. My brother, my parents, my grandparents are all from Texas. I was born in California, but it wasn't until my great grandparents are from Mexico, and but we were able to maintain the language. So I speak it pretty much every day.
So there you go. What's the best website to post a review? We're on that one. IMDb. I always get the letters mixed up.
Yeah, IMDb would be the best to put like a review. Yeah.
Scott is not gone in 60 seconds. He's auditioned for Get There in 60 minutes. You and I talk late. Don't forget, Tracy, you and I have got a show on Monday. Don't forget. Unbelievable.
Oh,
yes,
my God.
everyone else is stabbing me on these shows. It might be nice to you. Nice to you.
No.
Always,
Oh
you
my
know.
God.
The other night I was getting about my legs again. You know, I think it was Monday or Tuesday night. No, that's Sunday night. I think I was getting it's rotten about my chicken legs, John. I was quite emotionally disturbed.
That's because they're funny.
Eh?
That's because you're being
I mean, there's no escaping it.
She keeps you honest.
I think it's jealousy, actually, just to be, you know, just to be honest with you. So you're talking about the kissing scene, you need to make it as real as possible. Have you ever been in a situation where you've had to kiss somebody that you don't like in a film?
Yeah.
You despise. I've often wondered that because I watch a lot of movies, and a lot of movies that you know, they see them kissing, and you think, I wonder after they finish that scene, did they actually hate each other? Because you hear the stories. Well, you probably hear more than me coming out of Hollywood. X, you know, A despises B, but they apart together, and, you know.
You know, it just, I mean, it's everybody is there to do well, but every once in a while you'll get somebody that feels that they are, you know, a Hollywood movie starlet, and they deserve, you know, special attention, and, you know, we're all there to do a job, you know, and each one of us contributes to this project, so everybody is important, but every once you get somebody that feels that they're the most important. And I was involved with a project some time ago, and this was the person, and we had a scene where it was kind of an intimate scene, and I was going, you know what, I wasn't getting along with her, and she could care less about me, you know. She just insisted when we were doing the scene, she insisted that her face was showing. So when we did it like a close to a kissing scene, the way the director wanted it is my head kind of went in front of hers, and she goes, no, my face should be the one shown facing the camera, and she made it so difficult to do this. I couldn't wait for it to be over because I was, you know, we're just done, you know. And what about my close-up? Where's my close-up? You know, so, you know, I told the director, I said, you know, I don't care if I get a close-up. I just want to be done with this scene. He said, no, this is the way it should be done. And, you know, John, this is the angle I want you, and this is best for the camera. And so unfortunately for her, the way it was done, my face kind of covered her face, you know, and she hated it. And you could tell. you could tell. You know, in the scene, it was just kind of just,
that would have been a 1 point for you. We know you love you. I think she's talking about me and my chicken legs. I think Cam doing Johnson, no problem with you, you know. My life would be easier. My life would be easier. Scott was gone in 60 seconds, and you're here, but we won't go. That's long. See, her life would be easier if I was gone. Basically, I've got hairy ears, John. I'm going to be honest with you. You know, for some reason I'm bald, but the hair of my ears accelerates at a great kind of rate, sort of thing, and it's always another, you know, digging point for people these days.
Let me ask you, how does it feel to be the most sexy man in this show?
Well,
how does that feel?
Where do you want me to start? You know,
exactly right.
It's hard. It is hard, but you know, I learned to live with it on a daily basis. Trust me.
You get up in the morning, like look yourself in the mirror and go, "Wow."
I don't look in the mirror. I pause in front of the mirror. I don't look. I'll walk by and then I'll go back again like that. Awesome. Exactly. Still got it. And then I'll keep walking.
I love that.
And then I'll go back and double check. I still got it.
Yeah. Nah. I'm ready for the day.
You're like that, you know, killer. Anyway, and of course we love you too, John. Actually, she's got to say that.
Thank you.
Well, for goodness sake, not that Sarah and I have enough of Scottish geek on a daily basis, John, you're not helping. He has no reflection. It's just you learn to live with the jealousy. No doubt you get this as well. You learn to live with the jealousy, don't you?
You know, you're a sexy beast, and that, you know, we just have to live with it. We have to live with it.
You know, what you see is what you get. Anyway, moving on. So, we'll get back to the bouncer stuff. Yeah, I know you were kind of watching our timing because you're very much in demand. Aye. So how long? When you got offered the part of the bouncer, I know you've done many martial art films, you know, demonstrations, etc. In the past. Did you have to prepare differently for that role, or was it just like any other role?
You know, just that's what I love. I love the process. You know, for me, because I spent so many years training in martial arts and preparing for competition. And you know, and I've fought full contact fighting for a great portion of my martial arts career, and I've traveled all over the world and at the highest levels of competition. And you know, and you're out there fighting, you know, and that's why my face looks the way it does, and that's why I need a lot of makeup. But you know, what I love about it is the process, because you're given a script, and I've got to prepare myself in memorizing the lines and the significance of each scene. I got to prepare myself mentally, physically, and emotionally and spiritually as well. And I love it because there's a date. So for me, it's like a competition. There's the date of the competition, and you have this amount of time to get ready, and you do diligent work. You just do every single day, attack it. And some days you're going to feel better than others, but you arrive. And when you get to the day of shoot, you're ready, but you question yourself. You kind of go, God, did I prepare enough? And I always feel exactly the same way. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. So when you get nervous, excited, working together, you know that you're doing the right thing, because it's the sort of nerves that would normally stop anybody from doing it. No, I don't want to do it because I'm not going to look good. I'm not going to be prepared. I'm going to look like a fool. Whatever excuses they have for not doing it. But that's my reason for doing it. And you know, it's just that nervous excitement. And then you do it, and you're depending on the production. But you know, you'll be there anywhere from, you know, let's say 3 weeks to a month, filming 6 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day, every single day until it's done. And then when it's done, you go, yeah, I did it. You've achieved it. And then you're ready to move on. You're ready to give yourself a little bit of a rest, but you're ready for that next project, you know. And I love the process. So for the bouncer, it was a lot of the same. The only difference was the weather. A lot of the scenes were outside, and we filmed during winter, and it was extremely cold. There was one day that it bottomed out at it was like, I want to say it was like 12 degrees. 12 degrees Fahrenheit, so I don't know what that would be in Celsius, but
no idea.
It was extremely cold, and I had to act like I wasn't cold. So, you know, we would do a take, and in between takes, and this was a very sweet thing. There was two ladies with blankets, and they would cover me, you know, between takes, and then they would go, okay, let's do another take. They would unwrap me, and then I would be ready for another take, and I had to pretend like I wasn't cold, and the weather was a factor, because even when I did my fight scenes, you know, it limited a little bit of how I could move, because when you're cold like that, your body doesn't cooperate the way you want it to. So, you know, you want to do something, and the body will slow it down, and the cold weather will. And so it was a challenge. It was a challenge, but it was great.
Kate's saying -11. -11.
Yeah, oh, wow. Yeah.
Which is cold. We had it, I think it was around about January time, we had about a week and it was like -6, -8 up here. Wow. And that was, cold.
Yeah, exactly.
If you need makeup, John, Scott needs pure paint. Everybody's taking a shot tonight.
It's just like
just
spray painted on.
Okay, so right, Scott's on the night. What can we do? What can we throw at him tonight? It's another insult to throw. So that's the legs and the ears go as well. According to Tracy, I have got no reflection, and according to Kate, I just need pure paint.
I love that. Oh, I love it. That's fantastic.
You always wanted to be an actor, or it came after the fighting competitions?
That is, I was a martial artist first, and I spent many years competing, and as I got better, my level of competition was a higher level competition, and it eventually got to a world-class level competition. And so I was in Los Angeles, actually in Long Beach, and there's a tournament called the Long Beach Internationals, where coincidentally is where Bruce Lee kind of got his start in American cinema. And I had just finished taking first place in my division, and I did well. And then I was approached by a TV producer, and he goes, hey, can you do that in front of the camera? I said, yeah, sure. I would love to. So we did this little TV segment, and that led to another opportunity, that led to another opportunity. And but what I had to make sure was it was martial arts that got my foot in the door, but I had to educate myself in acting. So, I studied methodically the Stanislavski method acting, so that I'm not just a martial artist trying to act, but I'm an actor that happens to do martial arts.
I was going to ask that. I'll stay 2 seconds up here, coming obviously this guy gave you your starting point, your starting blow, but at that time you're kind of, well up in your game with the martial arts field. So, guys, do you want to do this? And obviously said yes, then you get another chance at another project. And, you sitting there kind of thinking, right, well, I'm up here with the martial arts, so now I need to start from scratch again and learn how to act, basically.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That's exactly it. And the more I can work on myself, the more I can offer. And that's one of the things was when a lot of people ask what I recommend for them to do to try to get into this industry, I say just work on yourself. I mean, if there's a way for you to take acting classes, take acting classes. Find out what your areas of specialty are. If you can ride a motorbike, or if you can ride a race car, or if you can ride a horse, or all these things they look for. The more you can do, the more you can offer. And but to be able to act is you're essentially replicating real emotions in a given scenario. And what you don't want to do though is like try to make yourself cry. This is it. If there's a scene that requires for you to cry, you get a lot of actors that try to cry. What you don't want to do is that, because in real life, if we're in a situation where it causes us to feel that way, we actually try to prevent ourselves from crying. We try to hold it in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you want to do. So when you're acting, you want to hold back those tears versus trying to make yourself how to cry. And that is one of the lessons that I learned, that that replicates life. Because if it's a funny thing, at first you don't laugh out loud. You kind of go, all right, I see what he's saying. It's more of kind of an internal snicker before it becomes an outward laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's more of the, if you do less, it makes a greater impact. Otherwise, I think like a new actor's mistake is to try to amplify that emotion too much.
I know what you mean. I'll tell you the wee hours I put these up. John should be the next Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan.
That's very kind. Thank you very much.
John is an absolute legend. One of the nicest people I've met. So genuine. Thank you, Short Facials. You're very welcome, dear. You're very welcome. Yeah. It's always an honour having this man on.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
I know it is. I'm trying to be nice to you now. Take the credit. But I know what you mean. I watch a lot of film, but it's got to sound daft. But the biggest example I can think of, you talk about the crime, but was, I don't know if you ever watched Friends.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big Friends fan, and there was a lot of scenes in Friends where they had to cry, or pretend to cry, whatever. But you can see that, they were all fantastic actors. They still are. God rest Matthew Perry. But the last episode, I don't know if you remember it, when they're just about to leave the apartment, they're all going kind of their separate, and they're all upset. They interviewed them all after that, and they all said that was genuine tears, because it was the end of an era, the end of Friends, basically. And so you could see the difference.
Yeah, you're right, because that was real, and when they were saying their goodbyes, they knew when they were filming that scene that those are actual goodbyes, and it's hard when you're in a show. You become a family. I mean, that's the best way I can put it, because when you work with somebody so closely for that long, it's no longer a coworker. It's not that. It's a family member, and that your life has changed because of it, but your life will change because you're going to leave it, and to process those emotions, And I know, and I've seen a lot of shows like Friends, where they're fighting the tears. They're not manipulating the tears. They're trying to hold it together so that they can even do the scene, and you can see that they're having a hard time keeping it together. But that's what makes it honest, and that's one of the most important things, is that it's got to be relatable to the audience. They have to feel what you're feeling, because they're going to associate it with a past event in their life, and it's going to hit them. It's going to hit them right there. And when you can do that as an actor, you did your job. You did your job when you do that.
I've seen a few, films and stuff like that where it really does nail you. One that springs to mind, they stopped making it. It was called Still Game. Laura will know what I'm talking about. It was a comedy set in Glasgow, and it was two guys that wrote it. It was about pensioners, Jack and Victor, in Glasgow, but there was other characters in it. But it ran for, I think it was like 10 seasons, and then they ended it. And the way they ended it, it was just they all went up to Loch Lomond, to the hills, and Jack and Victor went for a walk, and they went up this path, up the mountain. And one says to the other, "Do you think they'll know where we went?" And the other one says, "Don't know where we went." And then they just disappear, just vanish. And it shows you the other characters in different scenes, and they would just vanish. And they played Bob Dylan, "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right," over it. And that's a few years back, but I'm in one of the Facebook groups, and people still say that was the hardest episode to watch. It was, but it was a fantastic comedy, but it still brings people to tears when they're watching that one episode of Jack and Victor walking up. Well, I dare say you can get over there somewhere. walking up the hill, and that really kind of nailed it. You know,
No, you're
this
right.
is the end.
You know, I think one of the hardest things to do is like a comedy TV show. That's hard to do because it's hard to predict what's funny, and but even in a comedy TV show, there's so many day-to-day events that they play out that are serious, and when you come to this end of it, boy, what's left is just raw emotion. And I personally, I love it. I love it whether it be a TV show, whether it be a movie, when they target our emotions, and it becomes relatable. The movie, you and I have talked about this before, but a movie that I did was Demon Fighter, that really affected me.
I mind you saying you were upset.
That one really affected me because Demon Fighter, I play, Father Michael, and it has a kind of essentially it's a movie that is a family is possessed by a demon, and it's my duty to save that family through exorcisms and rituals and things of that sort, and prayer. And but there's one scene in there that really caught me off guard, and it was a scene where a teenage boy was possessed by this demon, and this demon was killing this child and taking his life. And I'm going through the exorcism part of it, and I'm fighting that demon, but I'm losing this child. And back when I was a teenager, my best friend was killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying goodbye to him in the hospital. And it was just all those emotions came right back to me. And also the same feeling of helplessness, that it didn't matter what I said, didn't matter what I did. This child was going to die. There's nothing I could do. And it was just that feeling of helplessness and despair. And so when I'm doing that scene, unbeknownst to me, all of these emotions came at me, and it was used for the scene. And I remember that I was inconsolable afterwards, because they said, okay, cut, and I, we had done a few takes, but I had to leave. I had to leave the room, and I was by myself in another room, and I'm trying to kind of pull myself together, and I couldn't. I had no control over my emotions. And I remember they were setting up for the next scene, which I was in, and the director just said, "Hey, leave John alone. Just leave him alone. Give him his time." And it took all that time for me to kind of regain my composure, so I can do the next scene that follows afterwards. But I remember it just sometimes it's overwhelming, and I had never ever experienced that before in any other project. That one was too personal to me, and it hit my heart. That was a tough one.
I'll come back. What to say about that. Come back. I'm going to pop these two questions up because I know we're watching our time as well. Kate and Laura's got questions. So, Star Wars fan, if you've seen Andor, it's an absolute masterpiece. We need to get John in Star Wars.
I would love to. I would love to. Is that where Pedro Pascal is? Pedro Pascal in there?
No idea.
Yeah, I think so. He's a pretty well-known actor in the States. Yeah, I would love to do that.
As an actor yourself, what genres do you like watching to relax?
Oh wow, geez, anything and everything. I like everything from the horror genre, sci-fi, action adventure. I don't watch much TV or movies. But it's funny that it's said that way, because at the end of the day, when I'm done for my day, it's like the only time I watch TV. And it's kind of a hit and miss. Everything from like a Disney movie to a horror movie, and everything in between.
I've got quite a thing. That was heartbreaker. I was talking about the ending of Still Game. I know about what you're saying about, how it affected you. I always remember, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's called Go Towards the Light. That was my daughter running across it. I just spotted it.
It's a ghost.
I just spotted the wee body go like that. So, shoom! Because their kitchen's right there. You'll see her, but she'll be shooting by in a minute. There was a film I watched years ago. Did you ever watch The Waltons?
Yeah.
Remember John Boy? I think John Boy Walton, Richard Thomas, I think his real name was.
Yeah. A long time ago. That goes way back.
He did a
too
film.
young to be watching The Waltons.
I know. You're too kind. He made a film, I think it was back in the 80s, called Go Towards the Light. And it was, he had a wife and a son, and the son was dying of cancer. And the very, very ending of it, you see the wee boy in bed, mum and dad's on either side, and the wee boy's falling asleep, and they say to him, are you tired? Is the veil getting thinner? And the wee boy's nodding, and they're saying, right, go towards the light, sort of thing. It's quite a really, really sad ending. But they spoke to Richard Thomas after it, and he says that affected, even though it was a film, it wasn't real, it affected him for months after it.
Yeah.
It really, really hit him. Also, unfortunately, there's kids in real life, parents get to do the same thing. But he says that particular scene really kind of destroyed him for a long time.
Yeah. You and I have talked about this before. The movie, Demon Fighter. You always hear of actors that can't shake the character. So once they finish filming and they're done filming and they're on to another project, they struggle with just shaking the character that they were. Heath Ledger is really well known for that, among others. He played the Joker and whatnot. But this was the one and only film that we finished filming. I came back home, and I had nightmares every night for 30 nights solid about the filming, about the subject matter, about everything that was happening in that film, and I had no control. I could not shake it. Every night I was going to go, okay, here we go again, and it was so infused into my brain and into my spirit. There was no way I could shake it. And it was the most unusual things I had ever experienced in my life. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, now I understand. Now I understand how this can happen and how it does happen to certain actors. I don't think I'll ever experience that again. Who knows? But that certainly was one for the books for me.
It's the same in everyday life, but Kate's saying, I'm glad you got the hold on, I thought that was going to, there it is there. I'm glad you got the grief, John. You must have been holding on to that for years. I'm so sorry about your friend.
Yeah.
But, it's the same in real life, John. If we lose people, and you can go along for days, years, and then it can be the smallest thing that reminds you of that person.
Yeah.
And it just, it's not that you've forgotten about them. No. They're still always there.
Yeah.
But it can be the smallest thing, and it can just bang hit you, and it just brings you out. It just shows that you're human, and you never forgot your friend. He's always there in your head, your heart, etc. And at the end of the day, everybody's human. And
no, you're right. Everybody's human, and I think it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to feel that that it's weakness. It's you're in a lot of ways you're recalling a memory of somebody that meant a lot to you, and it's going to make you feel different ways. and there's just no shame in expressing real emotions when they're actually happening. I mean, there's always this thing about, oh, you're a guy, you're tough, you shouldn't be showing those emotions. No, I mean, we're human. We're human, and the fact that I've dedicated my whole life to the martial arts and fighting and defending myself and teaching people how to defend themselves doesn't take away from me being a human person, and I appreciate it because in a very large way it has helped me establish a way of approaching a character. So because when I get casted for whatever role, then you start asking yourself the questions. Okay, who is this person? What happened to him in his life so that he is the person that he is right now? Did he experience loss? Did he experience tragedy? Did he lose a loved one? What happened to this guy? Okay, that's beginning to make sense now. And that's why he has a sensitivity to wanting to help women. For the balancer. Okay, now it makes sense. So for me, it helps me. It helps me create a real person, and it helps me create real emotions behind it, and it makes sense to the person, why he would act a certain way or react in a certain way. So yeah, it's difficult sometimes because you're having to relive those emotions, but it is it's very helpful in being able to produce those emotions when you need to.
It is. It helps. I'll stick these comments up before we wind up, but I know exactly what you mean, and it can take the smallest thing to bring you back. Hence the term comes flooding back. It's like feeling lose control of emotions, especially compartmentalization. I think I said that right.
Oh, yes, that was fantastic.
Compartmentalization, that's a new word for me. It's got purple. There's this, I don't know if I've done this with you before, John. There's a saying that Scottish people find it very hard to say, and it says 3 words: purple bugler, alarm. It's just we can't say it. And I think Kate does this every time she comes when you're on, as she comes on, and she always sticks that in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Great live guy. Scott knows I'm a fan of yours. One of my favourites. Good-looking man, John. That is Scott, not you, but I love you. But do you know what I mean? There, another stab. Let's finish up with another stab in the back.
Love it.
It's just, we were talking about grief there and how it can bring back. And I mean, it happened to me a couple of years. I lost a daughter back in 1992. She was just under 6 months, and we did, every time we do an investigation, we always feel it's a little girl.
Yeah.
Following us about, there's always doesn't matter what location it is. So about a year and a half ago, we did a wee village in Ayrshire, and it was a graveyard, and we go there, we kept getting this wee girl, so a couple of teams thought it might be my daughter, so I says, we had the necrophony on, I says, I used to can you tell me what toy I used to put in your bed every night and beside you? We never got anything. And I said, can you tell me what colour it was? Wow. And we get back, mind that be?
Yeah.
We get back the word green. Clear it, water was there, green. And so I asked again a short time, I said, can you tell, and it came back green. Well, my daughter had a wee toy Rex from Toy Story.
Oh, yeah.
The dinosaur, which was green, and I used to put that in her bed every night.
Oh my God!
In her cot beside her.
Wow.
She remembers that day, and I'm not an emotional person, crying all that kind of stuff, but it just kind of hits you because you don't know how to react. You think this is my daughter. Lost her, 1992, and she's here. So how do you deal with that? So I had to take myself out of the investigation and go and sit down and have a cigarette and what have you, because I thought, you're kind of shocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You and I have talked about this before, and and I appreciate you sharing that. I really do. That's actually that's a beautiful. It's a beautiful moment. It's very personal, and I'm the best I can say is I'm happy that you experienced that, because it's a presence that's still there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, obviously there's still love and everything connected to that. It's the hardest thing that any parent can ever go through. You and I have talked about losing, because I lost my daughter as well. And I appreciate you so much for just sharing that, because that's just such a wonderful experience, and I love the story. It's an amazing story.
Thank you, man. As and see, you don't know. And it happened again. Last year we Rosie Cardi up and we were loud in Kirk. And previously, I'd done a wee walkabout there myself at night time, and I was standing and I felt my sleeve getting tugged twice. So during this investigation, some months later, I says, "Can you tell me who pulled on my sleeve?" And the words came through. It was me, Daddy.
Wow.
Right away. I think that one be. I see Laura over there and says it was me, Daddy. And
that's amazing.
And it just does. I love how that boy never dies. She's she's got always. My best friend died a few years ago. I get so many signs. It's a nice feeling, but as you say, during your part, with Demon Fighter, all these emotions came back, and it kind of knocked you for six. And it's along the same kind of lines, But I'm watching the time, young man. What's next for John Ozuna?
Well, just because I'm gonna have to leave here very soon. The next thing, I actually film in 2 weeks in Los Angeles, and I'm actually going to be working with Robert Mukes. Robert Mukes is known for films that Rob Zombie made. If you know The House of a Thousand Corpse, a remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, made by Rob Zombie. Robert Mukes was one of his lead actors. And so he and I are going to be working in a film in 2 weeks called Return to Death Park. And the reason they wanted us, 3 years ago, I met him. And ever since he and I met, somebody said, "Oh, it'd be so great if you guys were in a great scene together." It was like a fight scene, because he stands, and again, I don't know the translation in measurement, but he's about 7 feet tall. He's a big man. He's like a Shaquille O'Neal height. So he's really, really tall, and I am not that tall. So it's going to be a great. So we're going to be filming in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to that. Should be a lot of good fun. And then I've got about two projects after that I can't really talk about. I do have something coming up, and I'm not sure if you know this actress. But I have I can't say what it is, but I have this project with her. My goodness. Oh, Halle Berry.
Aye, Halle Berry. Aye,
Yeah.
she was in the Monster. She's done loads of films. Catwoman.
A lot of films.
Moonfall.
Monster was her big one. That was yeah. She's done.
She was brilliant in Monster with Billy Ray. I was going to say Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton, isn't it?
Yeah,
Keith Reggie was in that as well.
So I can't say what it is, but in a very short future, I will be working with Halle Berry on a project. So I'm looking forward to it.
Keep an eye out for that one. So, aye, she was really good in that film.
Oh, she's amazing. She's an amazing lady. I can't wait to spend that time with her.
Kate, you say hello to her for me then.
I will. Oh, see, buddy, geez, she's gonna look past me and she's gonna just be focused on you.
What can I say? I'll come over if you pay the airfare.
Got it.
Kate's wanting you on their Fear Fan show, John, whenever you're back.
Absolutely.
Talk to you about everything. Lovely to learn about you, John and Scott. It's always an education. I'll take that as a compliment.
Thank you.
I'll take that. You always have the best show, Scott. Thank you very much, dear.
Yeah.
So we'll wind it up there because this man has to go. Hollywood.
I gotta go. Yeah, I do.
All
Sorry
that
about that.
palaver, But I'll keep you for a wee second after we come off, John. Just for a couple of seconds after we finish up, if that's all right. So a big thanks to this guy here. It has been sometimes we saw him, but you will be seeing him again. You can thank me in a minute, John. Wait, hold on. And we will be getting him back on because the time just flies in, don't you think? Just zoom,
It does. It does.
It goes really, really fast. So we will be back on. But we're going to wind it up there. We're out, hope weather permitting, we're out investigating tomorrow. And then Friday night, we're doing our overnight investigation with the Ghoul Gang at Loudon. We'll be live on Facebook. But we'll say goodnight because this guy has to rush. And that's it, folks. Thanks for watching and all your comments, your questions, and the insults. Much appreciated. Right, John, you can say a wee bit about me before we go if you want. You got anything you'd like to say?
Just thank you so much again for having me on. Scott, let me tell you about it. You're the best. It's always a good time chatting with you. Love it. I love it.
Excellent. Right. Take care, folks, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.
Take
Bye.
care, guys. See you.